I'm tired of being able to not use this as an actual pit bike. One of the biggest problems, can't just put the kickstand down. But my buddies over at T-Bolt have fixed that with foot peg mount that retains the kickstand. And we're going to beef it up a little bit. Anybody who knows me personally probably knows this bike. If just a real quick rundown, this belonged to a buddy of mine who unfortunately took his own life. And it's a serious thing. I just want to say, if you have issues, then there are people that can help. And you can make a phone call to this place or anywhere else. Just make sure you reach out. Let's go back to the fun stuff. Basically, the exact same thing as my buddy Todd, who had it. I haven't really adjusted it. I wanted to leave it alone because this was his bike. I did put these graphics on here as a tribute to him. As you can see, it's a bowling graphics, and the 7 hash marks that are on there, those come from the 7 perfect games he bowled the last year of his life. So he's a really good bowler, and I'm so pleased to have this bike, and I've had it for many, many years. He passed away a long time ago, and I haven't wanted to change it. But one of the problems with the bike is it's got the CHP foot peg. I guess you call it beefed up foot peg. The problem is can't use a kickstand, and that's where my buddies over at T-Bolt USA come in. They sponsor our podcast, and I talked to them, and they have a foot peg mount that has the kickstand attachment still on it. So I've got the DRC foot pegs that they sent me for this thing, which are so much better than the junk that I have on there now. And not only that, they've got this. I'll get underneath there and show you how it mounts. But what this does, it attaches to the frame back here to some factory bolts that are there. And then this, it sits underneath and puts pressure up. One of the biggest problems with the KLX is tearing out the foot peg mounts out of the bottom of the cases and having to replace cases. And that's like the worst thing ever. We do ride this hard. We still push it. So it's going to be nice to be able to use a kickstand to be able to put this down. Let's get you under here so you can see exactly what we have to do. We'll start with the easy part. We'll remove these foot pegs right here. I've got you up underneath here. The lift table is really nice. You can do this just with the bike being held up, leaned up against something. Heck, you could even lay the bike on its side, which I've done quite a few times. Just make sure the foot pegs aren't on the ground when you do this. But let's get these loose here. Voila, that easy to get those off. And up next, you can't just put this on. No, there's another step. Back here on the back, there's some factory frame holes. So we're going to use those factory frame holes. We're going to line these bolts up through here. I'm going to leave those loose so it sits down like that. And the reason why is, up next, we'll set this here. I like Loctite. It's actually even more important on this than a lot of things. We're going to put some blue Loctite on these as we get them started. We'll come up through the foot peg. We'll lift this up, line the bolt, and get the thread started. Once we get them on there, all lined up, started by hand so we don't cross thread, I'm just going to bump them up with the impact here. The main reason why I want to do that is to be able to just get them up there because there are some longer bolts that reach in there, but we will tighten those down with a torque wrench. It's time to torque them down to the factory specs. Definitely want to torque those down to factory specs because you are drilling in or screwing into aluminum. So yeah, make sure you can get into there. Now the fun part. There is a much easier way of doing this. You can get these bolts, tighten them up with an impact if you wanted to. You gotta take the back tire off, and well, I'm a glutton for punishment, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna tighten them up by hand with 21 N wrench. Yeah, this is gonna take forever. Super short video, super cool company. Now, the whole reason for all that labor, which, I mean, let's be honest, T-Bolt makes it easy, is to, yep. Yeah, years I've waited for this.